Well, hey there, guys, and welcome to the John Campea Podcast, episode number 33 for Wednesday, July the 20th, 2016. I am your host, John Campea, and as you can tell, I am indeed not in my studio. No, I am coming to you from San Diego. I am at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con. We got here last night, and we are already having a great time. So last night, me, Schnepp and Holly, Christian Harloff, Thad, Josh McCouga, Haletta. We all got here last night. A bunch more people are coming up today because we got this big, like 5,000 to 6,000 square foot, like compound house that is just gorgeous and beautiful. I'll try to put up a couple of pictures if I can here. And we just had a great time. And like, here's the pool. Take a look at the pool. We spent a lot of time in this pool last night. We spent a lot of time in the pool. We went into the gas lamp. We had dinner together. All of us had dinner. We're having a really good time. And we like to come up to, I know I do. A couple years ago, I started the habit of coming to Comic-Con on the Tuesday because I like to get here one day early and just unwind and relax and get into the flow of it. And here we are. Today is going to be a great day. The Star Trek premieres tonight here at Comic-Con. For those of you who don't know, they're premiering Star Trek here, and they're doing it on an outdoor IMAX screen. But what's really cool is at I'm spending most of the day today with Carl Urban, Simon Pegg, and John Cho. And we're going to be spending the day together, talking to them about the premiere tonight, and we're going to be with them before the premiere, talking to them, and they get their feelings after the premiere as well, and I'm really looking forward to it. That's going to be a good time. So, yeah. And listen, for those of you who are in San Diego, don't forget, if you are not here for Comic-Con, you're just in San Diego and don't have a Comic-Con badge, come to our Film HQ, Collider Video, and Schmoes Know meet and greet. It'll be at the Comic-Con HQ live stage right beside the Hilton Bayfront Hotel, right beside the convention center. It's going to be from 5 o'clock to 9 p.m. I'm only going to be there till 7, but if you come between 5 and 7, I'm going to be there. Make sure you come meet me, Schnepp, McCouga, Haletta, Whitney, Ellis, Harloff, the whole crew, Dennis, the whole crew's going to be there. So make sure you come on down and meet us later. That'll be tomorrow, Thursday. Thursday at, like I said, Thursday from 5 to 9. Sorry, I'm getting text messages. Okay, so I'm trying to do it, but like I said, I'm working. I'm in San Diego at the moment. But if you are coming to the convention and you got a badge for Comic-Con, make sure tomorrow on Thursday, 11 a.m., the annual My Masters of the Web panel. This year's theme is how we got started, how you can get started. Talking all about getting started with a podcast, a blog, YouTube channel, and how you can get rolling on the things that you're a fan of. So come on down. We're right beside the airport. You might be able to hear the planes coming in and out in the background. Like I said, lo-fi today, but I still wanted to get a podcast up. And yeah, then the Comic-Con HQ panel is also tomorrow on Thursday. I believe it's at 2 p.m. in the Indigo Ballroom in the Hilton Bayfront. Come on down, see me and all the other people from Comic-Con HQ. That's going to be a good time as well. And then we have tomorrow a live stage version of Film HQ. So it's going to be me, John Schnepp, Whitney Moore, Haletta Alamu, Josh McCouga, Haletta Alamu. We're all going to be there on stage. Come to the Comic-Con HQ stage. Once again, that's outside right beside the Hilton Bayfront. So, okay, all of that out of the way. Got some stuff I want to talk about today, and then I want to take some questions from you guys. So the first thing I want to bring up today is a little piece of news that dropped. Now, as all of you know, tragedy happened a few weeks ago in a freak accident. Anton Yelchin, who plays Chekov in the Star Trek films, he passed away. And J.J. Abrams was just asked, as you remember from my last podcast, they've announced they're doing Star Trek 4. Chris Hemsworth is going to be in it. He's going to be back as James Kirk's dad. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. But somebody apparently asked J.J., are you going to recast Chekov? And while he did not give a definitive answer, JJ kind of suggested that it feels weird. It doesn't sound like JJ wants to recast. It sounds like he doesn't want to recast Chekov right now. And I can understand that. I can understand that feeling. I can understand that initial idea, that initial hesitation, if you will. Like right now, like he just died a few weeks ago. And the movie's coming out right now. And it's hard to think about, do we just recast him and all that kind of stuff. But the prevailing emotion that JJ seems to be saying right now, and he could change his mind later after, we get the premiere behind us and all that kind of stuff, is should we, recast Chekov? And right now he's kind of feeling, no, we shouldn't. And I know there's a lot of fans out there too saying we shouldn't recast Chekov. That would be disrespectful to Anton Yelchin if we recast Chekov. And I respectfully completely disagree with that mentality. And I had the same feeling back when Paul Walker died, halfway through shooting Fast 7. And a lot of people were wondering, should they just cancel the film? And some people were saying it would be disrespectful to Paul Walker to keep making this movie and all that kind of stuff. And what I said at the time was, are you insane? I said, number one, and not as importantly, but number one, not as important, life goes on. Life has to keep moving forward. Tragedy happens, but we move forward and we move on. Like I mentioned, if a dude tragically died, a dude who worked at a Ford Motors plant, tragically died, you don't say, well, let's shut down the Ford Motor plant. No, you don't do that. Life goes on. But most importantly, number two, but most importantly, is that Paul Walker, his biggest success was the Fast and Furious franchise. He put a lot of years of his life into the Fast and Furious franchise to build that and make it what it is. You think for 1 second the way to honor Paul Walker is to scrap the movie? This movie he put so much energy and effort into? This franchise that he put so much energy and effort into? You think the way to honor Paul Walker is to scrap it? That's not the way you honor him, and I highly doubt, I didn't know Paul personally, but I highly doubt if you asked Paul that that's what he would want. And fortunately, they went ahead and they completed the movie, and it was done very, very well, and they did a great job. I kind of feel the same way about the situation with Anton Yelchin. First of all, Anton's not the first Chekov. There was other Chekovs, but think about it. The Star Trek franchise, Anton's done a lot of great work, but his most successful stuff was with the Star Trek franchise. That's where he had his biggest success. And he's put years of himself into that character. And you think the way to honor Anton Yelchin, this guy who has spent years bringing back the character of Chekov in this Star Trek franchise? You think Anton Yelchin, the dude who put so much of his energy and his passion into bringing this character back, you think the way to honor Anton is to take the character out of the franchise now? Just take him out. If Anton's not there to play, just take them out. Don't show Chekov anymore. That's to me, all due respect to everybody who has a different opinion about this, all due respect, to me, that's ridiculous thinking. Like, I know if I had been playing Chekov, and I had great success playing Chekov, and I was one of the big reasons why the Star Trek franchise is now a big success like it was. I played a part of that. And if something tragic were to happen to me that I were no longer able to play the role, you think I would want you to now kill the character? And they may not kill off Chekov, they just may say, but do you think the way to honor me is to write off the character? It's like, oh yeah, all that energy and effort you put into it, yeah, done now, done. All the way you greatly portrayed that character Chekov to make millions of fans love Chekov again, yeah, done now. Now we're just brushing the character aside. I do not understand that way of thinking. I believe the same that I believed in the Fast and Furious situation, where the way you honor Paul Walker is continuing on and make the Fast and Furious franchise something that the fans continue to love and to continue to get behind and all that kind of stuff. That's the way you honor Paul Walker. And I believe the way you honor Anton Yelchin is to be dedicated to make sure that you carry on this character of Chekov, that he put so much energy, blood, sweat, and tears into, that you carry this character on and you carry it on with respect, and you make sure you get a great actor to come in and try to fill in Anton's shoes. That's how you honor Anton Yelchin. You stand on his shoulders. You build upon what he started, what he laid the foundation for with this character of Chekov. You build upon that. That is how you honor him. You don't honor him by writing off this character. This character that he brought back to us, you don't honor him by writing the character off. And look, I totally get why somebody like JJ or people connected to Star Trek right now are still in a very emotional place. We lost him, and now just weeks after we lose him, we're debuting the movie, and it has to be so bittersweet. And I don't blame JJ or anybody else over at Paramount or involved with the production of these movies. having these thoughts about, it feels weird to do this without Anton. It just feels not right to be thinking about Star Trek IV and just weeks after he died thinking about how we're going to replace him. I get that. But give it some time. Give it a few months. Give it a few time. And then start thinking, it's like, is that what Anton would want? Is that how you honor Anton, by writing off the character that he spent so much time bringing back to us? I say no. I say recast Chekov in a way that would honor Anton Yelchin and keep making that character great to honor Anton Yelchin. The way you honor him is not to write him off. That's just my 2 cents worth. That's just my thought. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments section below. One other thing I want to mention before we get to the email questions that you guys sent in. I'm going to keep today's a little bit short because here I'm in San Diego. But found out last night, we were all walking to dinner and we started looking at our phones. The news got out that Garry Marshall died. The guy who brought us such iconic TV shows as Happy Days, Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, others and others and others. He gave us like so much over his career, not only in the world of television, but also in the world of film. You know, it's such a loss. Such a loss. Garry Marshall at the age of 81, clearly had a great life, clearly had a great career. I don't want to go too much, I'm just going to say my thoughts and respects go out to anybody who were friends and family of Garry Marshall. It's a tremendous loss for the movie and the television community as well, because he did some really great things. All right, I'm going to get to a couple of email questions here before I run into downtown San Diego and get going with my day. And by the way, there will be another John Campea podcast, again, probably short, that will be up here on Friday. So we'll do one here from San Diego on Friday as well. So the first question that we're going to address today comes from James Mackenzie. And James writes, "Hey John, how's it going? My question is, right now as it stands, The Dark Knight is not only Warner Brothers' biggest grossing comic book film of all time, but biggest grossing film ever. I thought BVS would take it down, but nope. Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight is still king. Do you see any other DC films coming that could dethrone the masterpiece that is The Dark Knight?" That comes from James Mackenzie. Yeah, a lot of people thought, obviously, if it was better received, Batman vs. Superman would have easily beat The Dark Knight, but it was not well received, despite the fact that some people like myself and a few others did like the film. Could have been better, should have been better. And there are things they could have done to make it much better to appeal to more people. As it turns out, it didn't. Still made a ass load of money. Buttloads of money, close to $900 million. Tons of money, but it should have made more, could have made more. So there you go. Can other films coming? Absolutely. Because look, all it's going to take is Suicide Squad. Now, I don't think Suicide Squad will beat The Dark Knight. That's not it. But if the Suicide Squad comes out, and as I suspect, if the Suicide Squad is really killer good, then you're going to get everybody right back on the DC train. You make Suicide Squad really good, then by the time Justice League comes out, I believe Justice League, if they learn their lessons from Batman vs. Superman, and they correct some of those mistakes, then I absolutely believe, and Suicide Squad lays the groundwork by being a great film, then I absolutely believe Justice League will beat The Dark Knight at the box office. But there's a lot of buts and a lot of ifs in that as well. If Justice League comes out and it's received as poorly as Batman vs. Superman was, then it may not. If Suicide Squad comes out and it's not good, I believe it will be very good. But let's just say, for argument's sake, let's say Suicide Squad comes out and it's not all that good. There's a lot of ifs, a lot of things that could derail this Justice League train from becoming the #1 Warner Brothers film. But if things work out the way they're supposed to, Suicide Squad is great. They correct the mistakes they made in Batman vs. Superman to appeal to more people for Justice League. And the marketing is really good. Absolutely, Justice League should beat The Dark Knight. It should. Now, whether it will, there's still a lot of ifs along the way. There's a lot of things we need to see first. But it should beat it. Anyway, thanks a lot for the question, James. All right, the next question comes to us from John McGrath, who writes, "While I know most of us are disappointed in the lack of a new Rogue One trailer, is it possible we are expecting too much new information from Star Wars Celebration? Example, hearing about other spin-off titles and future Star Wars project. Is it possible even Disney and the story group don't have all the details panned out yet?" Well, thanks a lot, John. And I don't think people's expectations were too high. I think people's expectations were exactly where Disney set people's expectations to be. I think Disney set the bar last year with Celebration, and last year's Celebration was awesome, just awesome. But they set the precedent that, hey, at Star Wars Celebration, you can expect this. This is what you can expect at Celebration. And then a lot of people flew out to London for this year's Celebration and got none of it. So we talked about this on Jedi Council the other day. I just think Disney needs to decide, that Lucasfilm needs to decide, what is Celebration going to be? What should fans expect from Celebration each year? And they should communicate that. So look, if Celebration is just going to be a fan event where we just get together and there's great panels and we get to see the people we love talk about Star Wars, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. I think awesome. If, on the other hand, Celebration is supposed to be a thing where you get all that and we drop all the newest Star Wars news. We got a new movie coming out every year, so we're going to give you some casting and new footage and new trailers and new movies that we're going to do like they did last year. That's great, and that's awesome too. But I believe Disney and Lucasfilm have to communicate what is it? Is it one or is it the other? What you can't do is ask fans to go, hey, maybe this year will be like last year's Celebration, but maybe this year's Celebration will be like this year's Celebration, and we're not going to tell you. You just got to roll the dice and come and see if we announce anything big. They can't do that. I'm not saying the way I just did is what Disney's doing. I'm just saying that's what Disney can't do. They can't just ask fans, hey, roll the dice. Maybe we'll tell you something this year, maybe we won't. No, you need to set an identity for what Celebration is and what fans should expect. So that way, fans know how to manage their expectations. Disney needs to help in helping manage the fans' expectations to let fans know what they should expect. Last year, the message was, you should expect this. And then people came and got none of it. So the message of this year's Celebration was, no, you should expect this. And either one are totally fine. You just got to let us know, what should we expect? What is the identity of Celebration? And I think they need to come to those decisions and communicate to the fans. So I think the fans' expectations were too high. No, they weren't too high, because that is the standard that Disney and Lucasfilm set at last year's Celebration. They set the bar. The fans didn't set the bar. Celebration set the bar. And this year, they didn't meet that bar. So they were two very different conventions, last year's Celebration and this year's Celebration. I just think, like I said, Disney just needs to figure out what they want it to be and communicate to the fans, so the fans every year know, hey, that's what Celebration is going to be, and I want to go to it or I don't want to go to it. I just think that would be the fair thing to do. All right, the next question today comes from Joshua Toussaint, who writes, with many of Easter eggs, I guess he just means with many Easter eggs in both The Flash and the Arrow to Hal Jordan, do you think Green Lantern will show up in the CW universe? If so, do you think it will work? Because it would probably use a lot of CGI, and the fact that Berlanti and Guggenheim wrote the screenplay for that movie where Green Lantern fights a big head and a cloud turd instead of freaking Sinestro. Thanks a lot for the email, Josh. Yeah, a lot of people have been wondering lately, because we haven't gotten any, there have been a lot of whispers, a lot of reports, but we haven't gotten any firm information about Green Lantern's place in the movie universe. So a lot of people are speculating, wondering right now, well, what about Green Lantern in the CW with The Flash and the Arrow and the Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl? What about Green Lantern in that universe on television? But I think you very articulately, and I think you very correctly, Joshua, brought up the big problem. The big problem is CW shows don't have massive budgets. And so the visual effects of CW shows are quite poor compared to their movie counterparts. They're not bad for television visual effects, mind you. Actually, they're pretty good for television visual effects. But there is a big difference between television visual effects and movie standard visual effects. And there's not a lot, they don't have a lot of need to use those visual effects. Every once in a while you get a scene or two with the Flash doing something, but that's minimized. How do you do that with Green Lantern? I don't know. I think, seriously, the question of visual effects and how often you'd need visual effects and the quality of visual effects that you could deliver, and will the amount of questionable visual effects start to detract from the show and from the story? I think that is I don't think that's a small issue. I think that's a legitimate issue that people are going to have to look at, and the brain trust over at Warner Brothers needs to figure out. Because of that, I don't believe there will be a Green Lantern on television. I mean, maybe like a Hal Jordan cameo here or there, but I don't believe, because of those reasons, that we're going to get Green Lantern on TV. Maybe we could. Anything is possible. I'm just saying, if you're asking me right now, would my guess be? My guess would be, because of those reasons, no Green Lantern on television. All right, last question of the day. I told you I was going to keep this one, and probably Friday's a little bit short. This one comes from Fixin' Wolf. And Fixin' Wolf writes, something I get from a lot of people. Hi, John. I recently watched your Ghostbusters review, and although I haven't had the chance to watch the movie yet, I quite don't understand why, when Ghostbusters does a cameo or pays homage to the original movie every 15 minutes, is okay, we get it. Why can't you just be your own movie? But when The Force Awakens did it, everybody was like, yeah, man, this is awesome. Thanks a lot for the question, Fixin'. A lot of people have been asking me that. And I think the reason you're asking this question is because you didn't see Ghostbusters yet. When you see Ghostbusters, you will see what I mean. They are totally different things. In The Force Awakens, there are several callbacks and similar themes and similar beats to the original Star Wars. But that is very different. Like, once you see the Ghostbusters, you'll know what I'm talking about. To, like, the movie stories on, then they stop the movie to point out this weird, out-of-place cameo that just stopped the movie, whatever, and then they pick it up. Then 15 minutes later, stop the movie again. Blah. Like, in Ghostbusters, I'm going to give one minor spoiler away, okay? In Ghostbusters, there's a cameo they did that was handled very well. And it was... well, to be fair, there were a couple of well-done cameos, if you will. But there's a cameo in the movie, okay? And I don't want to give too much away. But, okay, it's Harold Ramis, okay? So, but it's just a statue of Harold Ramis in a hallway. And that's it. It's subtle. It was there, but it didn't stop the movie. And you saw it and you recognized what it was, but they didn't stop the movie to go, hey, everybody, look, and put the camera on the bus and zoom into it and goes, wow, that guy looks like a genius. No, I didn't do that. It was subtle. It didn't stop the movie to show it. It kept the story going and kept the scene that it was in going. And if the other cameos and references in Ghostbusters handled themselves that way, it would have been fine. But you got to see the movie to know what I'm talking about when I say, damn, man, they just freaking stopped the movie and look at this cameo, everybody. And it's completely out of pace with the movie, doesn't fit in with the movie whatsoever. It's just out of bounds, and it stops the movie, and it destroyed any sense of pace. And you gotta, like I said, you gotta see the movie to know what I'm talking about when I see it. So it's hard. Whereas The Force Awakens, yeah, there were similar themes and there were other things that were dropped in there. But in The Force Awakens, they never stop the movie. They don't stop the movie and go, hey, everybody, look, it's a painting on the wall of Anakin from The Force Awakens, or from The Phantom Menace. And they stop the movie, put it over there, have all the attention drawn to it, bring the characters over to it for a second to look at the picture. You know, The Phantom Menace or The Force Awakens didn't do that. The Force Awakens, when they dropped in similar themes and things like that, it was all part of the story and just kept rolling. Again, you won't really get what I'm saying until you watch Ghostbusters. And once you do, then you'll get the difference, the massive difference between what they did in Ghostbusters and what they did in The Force Awakens. So there you go. So anyway, that'll do for me, guys, for this short installment from San Diego Comic-Con in my room right now. Thanks a lot for joining me. Don't forget, come out. If you're in San Diego, come out tomorrow to the Masters of the Web panel, the Comic-Con HQ panel, the live Film HQ broadcast from the outdoor stage, to the Film HQ, Collider Video, Schmoes Know meet and greet from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Comic-Con HQ stage. So much stuff going on here. Come on down and say hi. So make sure you guys are following me on Facebook and on Twitter, simply at John Campea. If you're listening to this podcast, make sure you subscribe, open up iTunes, and rate and comment on this podcast. That helps me out a great deal when you do that. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and watch some of my other videos while you're here. Share this video on your social media channels. That'll do for me, guys. I think Haletta is downstairs waiting for me, so I need to run. Thanks for joining me. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.